continue to carry out campaigns ahead of the September 19 polls. Now, Abdulsalami Jibril put together this report, so let's begin with it.
It is now 4 days to the Edo governorship elections, and campaigns by political parties and their candidates have reached fever pitch as they continue to sell their manifesto to the electorate. In the build-up to the elections, campaigns have been characterized by pockets of violence which created tensions in the state. However, the intervention of eminent Nigerians such as the Oba of Benin has brought some form of sanity in the electioneering process so far. While the race for the top position has arguably been dominated by candidates of the All Progressives Congress (APC) and the People's Democratic Party (PDP), other candidates, 12 of them, are also vying for the position. These include the Action Alliance (AA), African Democratic Congress (ADC), Action Democratic Party (ADP), All Progressives Grand Alliance (APGA), Allied People's Movement (APM), Action People's Party (APP), Labour Party (LP), New Nigerian People's Party (NNPP), National Rescue Movement (NRM), Social Democratic Party (SDP), Young Democratic Party (YPP), and Zenith Labour Party (ZLP). In continuation of NTA's social responsibility of providing a platform for the candidates to further enlighten the electorate on their manifesto, on Good Morning Nigeria, we shall focus on the candidates of Labour Party, Dr. Isaiah Osifo, Comrade Iboy Lucky Emmanuel of the Action Democratic Party, ADP, and Agol Ebun Tracy of the New Nigerian People's Party, NNPP.
All right, thanks a lot for that backgrounder. We are having our contestants in the election, of course, join us from Benin. Each of them via Zoom, and we have 2 of them already whose connections are smooth for this conversation. Let's welcome the governorship candidate of the Labour Party, that's Dr. Isaiah Osifo. Dr. Isaiah Osifo, pleasure to have you with us on the program this morning.
Thank you.
And also with us via Zoom this morning from Benin, that's the Edo State Capital, Comrade Lucky Emmanuel Iboy, who is a candidate of the Action Democratic Party, ADP. Action Democratic Party, ADP. Pleasure to have you with us on the program.
Thank you so much. Good morning.
Okay. And with us here in the studios, our regular political analyst, Dr. Abdulrahman Abu Hamisu. Abu Hamisu, delight to have you with us.
The pleasure is all mine. Good morning, Nigerians.
And Claire, you're excited about the prospect of a female governorship candidate, Ebun Tracy Agoy. We're still, of course, trying to...
I do hope she joins in the conversation.
We're still trying to get the connection to her to be with us via Skype. And by the way, they should have been in our studios, but there are some technical issues that have been sorted out in our studios. So,
okay, so let's start with the 2 gentlemen governorship candidates, Labour Party and ADP, I guess. Gentlemen, let me start with the Labour Party. Just give us a feel of how the campaigns have been going so far from your perspective.
Well, we've been engaged in a civilized and responsible campaign in line with the guidelines and regulations of ANEC and the federal government in respect of the observation of the rules and protocols of the unfortunate problems of the coronavirus pandemic. Because of that, we have been emphasizing communicating with the Edo audience, Edo electorates through traditional media and the new media. We have been engaged in house-to-house sensitizations and contacts and campaign, and of course meetings observing strictly the rules of social distances and awareness of the rules of engagement in the peace period of coronavirus pandemic. So far, so good. It is obvious that Labour Party is in the forefront of rigorous advocacy of political education and conscientization of the electorate to first and foremost seize their right of political ownership of the system by participating and being prepared to vote for the candidate of their choice. And in the same vein, equally speaking through the media to the electoral agencies. So the agencies that will be responsible for the conduct of election, mainly INEC and the security agencies, to help to ensure that there will be peaceful election, free and fair, credible election in the state. So essentially, a Labour Party, a mass political party with a lighting leadership, has been so forthcoming in terms of organizing and redirecting the political consciousness of these people in terms of rules of civilized engagement, of democratic engagement, and entrenching in the people the ownership of the system, and of course their right to make a choice of who should be the governor of Edo State.
Let's put you on hold. Thank you very much. Let's also ask the same question to Comrade Lucky Emmanuel Iboy. Considering the enormous resources, both in terms of logistics and finance, required to carry out a campaign of this magnitude, what has been your experience, and how have the people of Edo State received you?
Thank you so much. It has been a wonderful experience. Edo is a great state, and we have come to make it great. So it has not been easy being a youth, being the youngest among those contesting. The people actually want a change, and it has been so welcoming. So far, so good. The ADP, the Action Democratic Party, after the APC and the PDP, is the only party that did flag off, word-to-word flag off. And the people have been so welcoming. We have been going from word to word. We have been doing door-to-door campaign. We have been moving, and we have been speaking. We have been educating the electorate on how to vote, why they need to vote, and why they need to change the system, and why they need a youth on board that can bring development, that can bring change, that can change the old system of doing things in Edo State, so that Edo State can no longer be called the ancient city, but a digital a city full of technology. And we came up with why the electorate accepted us was because we came up with a manifesto that I wrote 4 years. I started writing 4 years ago, which is called the Transformation Agenda Manifesto. Now, this Transformation Agenda Manifesto provides solutions on various sectors. They are sectors like education, agriculture, industrialization, youth empowerment and employment, eradicating erosion in Edo State, industrialization through what we call the PPI, which is public-private investors, how we can bring investors to partner with us. And again, how we can make all civil servants. Currently, Edo State have over 50,000 civil servants. How we can make them landlords through our scheme of 20 to 25 years. So we have been going from market to market. We see how deplorable the market is. And we promise how we can bring a modern market to Edo State. With this, the women in the market and every children in the school and every youth and everybody just want to change. And that change they want is the ADP because we have come strong, we have come boldly, and the electorate comes September 19, 2020, will make a change in Edo State, which is the ADP. So thank you so much.
Just for before Kingsley comes, takes his question, we would like you to, if you don't mind, we appeal that you take off your face cap so that people can see your face. It's casting a shadow on you. Yes, thank you very much. So we'll just put you on hold for now and then come back to the studio.
All right. Thank you very much, Comrade Emmanuel. That's because the hat was provided a shadow over your face and we couldn't see you clearly. Still with the two gentlemen, that's Dr. Azai Osifo and Comrade Lucky. Oh, well, I understand that we're going to have to relaunch the connections to the two gentlemen. Dr. Abu Hamisu, well, we've not drilled into the issues yet with the two candidates, but of course you've followed our series on the Edo governorship election, plus quite a number of other issues. Give us your reading of what is likely to play out on Saturday, even in the lead up now.
Well, it's quite interesting. You know, the beauty of democracy is everybody have the right to go out to canvass for vote. It is now left for the voters to decide who they are going to vote. And I'm quite happy from their opening remarks. Nobody has said they've been denied access to voters. And they believe that they are the candidate to beat in the election. Like my brother from the ADP, he said they've come out strong, they've come out bold, and the people want change, and that change will reflect in their party being voted massively to power. But again, from the preparation, even from the party primaries and the rest, we know the direction. The direction and the man at the center of the entire event is the former governor, Adams Oshomole. We know the role he played to get Mr. Obaseki, the current governor, elected. And we knew what he said and what he did to get people to vote for APC. And his opponent in that election is now the candidate he has adopted, which means the camp of Adams Oshomole has been divided. So we are going into an election where Adams Oshomole is facing Adams Oshomole because he worked to ensure that victory was secured. Even if you play the tapes, what he said and what he did, the energy he committed and everything, the time. And today, the same person he worked to defeat is the same candidate he's selling to the people. So, which makes the election very interesting. And another interesting aspect of the election is the fact that Adams Oshomole retired a lot of godfathers in Edo politics. The same position he has come to assume. So we are waiting to see if he will still remain that godfather based on what he has done for the people of Edo State, or himself will be tested. And the same fate that awaited the former godfathers that he retired will await him in this election. So these are all the possibilities in going to the election. And the Oba of Benin, I think I must give that to him. He was forthright. He played the role he's supposed to play. To say, look, Edo first. Edo people first. So whatever we're going to do, we must not destroy Edo State. Because Edo State is our hometown. So no matter what happens, go out there, canvass for vote, but violence should be the last thing. And that is what is supposed to be. The appeal democracy hold all over the world is that peace it ensures in disagreement. So we can disagree without having to look for bandage to patch our faces. This is the beauty of democracy. So it's about jaw, but not war. But in Nigeria's situation, but because politics controls everything, you find an accomplished lawyer want to go to the government house. The best surgeon in Nigeria is retiring to go to government house or to go to Senate. So the premium on politics is so high that the stake is so high that everybody is willing to do anything. And this is where we have violence in election. Violence has no place in any election. Violence is the last thing, because it is the problem of violence that election has come to solve. So you don't need to coerce me to vote you. Just allow me to vote you.
Okay, Abu Hamisu, thanks a lot. We'll return to you in the course of the conversation. Now, we understand that both Dr. Isaiah Osifo and Comrade Lucky Emmanuel Iboy are back to us via Zoom. Gentlemen, now there is the view that has been expressed. Even Dr. Abu Hamisu himself was referencing that a while ago, and I do not mean this to be disrespect to either you both who are with us on the program, or indeed the 10 other contestants for the governorship elections who are not part of this conversation right now. But it's often been reduced to a two-horse race. That is to say, the incumbent governor, Godwin Obaseki, versus challenger, Pastor Osagie Ezeyamu of the APC, and that therefore the other 12 contestants are outsiders. If this view is correct, why are you still in the race? Let's begin with Dr. Isaiah Osifo.
Well, we are in an African society where we still have a lot of issues to contend with in terms of democracy and redevelopment. And we need to now accept and accommodate the mentality of the people, and of course even the elites' weak mentality of a wrong perception. Nigeria Constitution clearly stipulates that we are in a multi-party democracy, and when you have an election, a political party that is registered is supposed to sponsor a candidate for the election. I haven't met with the requirements for the registration as a political party in Nigeria. Instead of sitting down and be doing classification of a major party and a minor party, the people should participate, do analysis of the ideology or the manifesto of the parties, the character and the antecedent of the candidates, and then assess them on the performance ratio in terms of their previous engagement in public office or in private office. It is wrong for the media, for the people of the state or the country, for anybody to sit down with such a wrong conceptualization of a major and a minor political party. Instead, the media should encourage the people to participate actively in democracy, to be vigilant in terms of assessing those who are appearing before them and asking for their vote. By way of thorough understanding of the Constitution and constitutionalism, no one party is inferior to the other. And of course, I don't think there's any candidate that is inferior to any other candidate. For instance, in this contest, I say with all modesty that I have the highest qualifications, academic qualification, in this gubernatorial race in Edo State. I hold a PhD in international relations. I lecture in the university. And of course, in terms of public service or party experience, I think I'm equally almost the oldest in terms of involvement consistently in the politics of Edo State. So it is wrong for anybody. This is just an education for the public and for the media and for all those actors that are involved to begin to classify one party as major and the other one as minor. Look at the manifesto of the party. Look at the manifesto of the candidate, the ideology of the party, the character of the candidates, the antecedent of the candidate. And by our assessment, like I was talking yesterday, the good persons are all at home. The people that are good, that have the capacity, are all in the universities and institutions. We discourage them by this attitude of, running after bourgeois conceptualization and peripheral analysis that will take the country to nowhere. So until we begin to leave this attitude, this culture of this unnecessary classification, without looking at the credentials of the person that's standing before you and looking at the philosophy of the party that is asking for vote, you are going to get it wrong. So I am not an insider. I am a major competitor. My head is high up there. I know that I have the capacity and the quality to stand for any office in Nigeria, not just the governor of a state, even the president of this country. So for anybody to say Labour Party is an outsider, that is wrong. The people know those who are appearing before them. They know the antecedents of those who are appearing. I'm the two-time chairman of local government. My records are there as one of the best performing chairmen in Nigeria. We started out going in Nigeria. I was chief of staff to Professor Osumbo. In 1.5 years, he became one of the best government that have ever existed in the state. So look at the credentials of those that are appearing before you. And people talk of programs. Program is subordinated to the credential of the candidate. It is not your policies or your speeches and rhetorics and long lists that is going to transform the state. It is the character, the capacity, the antecedent of the person that will formulate these speeches and policies, speeches and promises into for the meta policy that will be implemented for the betterment and for the interest of the people of the state. So, if you ask me, Labour Party is a major contender in this race. But however, we believe that the other competitors have equal capacity. But we are appealing, and we continue to appeal to people of Edo State. Don't ignore this classification. Look at the antecedent of those who are appearing for you. What have they done in their previous engagement? What is their character? What is their qualification? The present government is talking about his achievements as a governor, and people are seeing what he has done. They are verifying his claims and they are verifying his achievements, and they agree that yes, he has done well. The Labour Party is saying yes, as chairman of council, this is what I did, and this is what I will be able to do if I'm governor. As chief of staff, this is what I achieved with my governor, Professor Subo. Let the other candidates come and present, not just on your main speeches and belonging to a big party that is the issue now. Do you have the antecedent? Do you have the name? Do you have the character? Do you have the history of good performance and good conduct and ability to provide public good for Edo State? These are the issues that are important, not this peripheral parochial classification of which is major and which is a minor party. Rather, the content of the party and the content of the candidate is what should matter to the people of Edo State.
Dr. Osifo, I don't know, we get some interruptions within the background, but I'm wondering, your party is not one of those, one of those in the coalition that, of course, adopted a particular governorship candidate. So, which means you are optimistic that you have the structure to, give you to win you this election. So, can you share with us what are those things that make you so optimistic that you are the right choice for Edo people?
Well, right from the beginning, Labour Party has always said that this contest should be put in clear, fair perspectives. We are contesting against an incumbent government, an incumbent governor of the PDP. And we have said, let the people of Edo State look at the credentials and the achievements of the governor of Edo State, Governor Obaseki. And if they are convinced that he has done well, yes, they should go and make their choice. So we are not in the context of pretending not to appreciate the capacity and the qualities and the records of the incumbent government or the incumbent governor. We join the Edo public to appreciate that he has done well. But what we are saying, that in all this, it is left for them to make a choice in terms of asking him to continue or asking any other person to continue. And we are saying, if you are going to ask any other person to continue, you have to look at that person, whether he has the capacity to sustain what the governor has done, and whether the person has the capacity to improve on what the person has done, what the governor has done. Of course, clearly in this context, it is the Labour Party. The candidate of the Labour Party is the only person who has the capacity in this context to sustain what the governor has done and to improve on what the governor has done. So is this a multi-party contest? We are calling on INEC. We are not imposing. We are not violent. We are not desperate to say, oh, you must elect Labour Party. But we're simply saying, look at the perspective, in three perspectives. the incumbent governor's performance, those who have the capacity to sustain what they have done, and those who have no business nearing what the governor has done, not talk of improving. So in these three categories, two are standing out. The first category is the one who is on seat now, who is doing something, and people are seeing the evidence is there. It is not just story or printing a long list of, A for boy, B for girl, and C for class. It is something that is evidential. It's concrete. You see what the governor is doing. And if you are a rational citizen, if you are a responsible person, see this developmental stride and then go there and make your speech on the day of the election. But however, if you so believe that you need a change, you need somebody who can replace the governor, it should be the person who has the capacity to sustain what the governor has done and with the capacity to improve on what the governor has done. So, category A is the governor. Category B is the one who has the capacity to sustain what he has done and what he can improve. That is Dr. Sifo and the Labour Party. Category C is that person who doesn't have any antecedent, no character in their long campaign and crowd that they put together. They have not been able to tell Edo people that this is what I've been able to do in my previous engagement, either in public life or in private life. So we are talking of the governor of a state. We are not talking of a father of a house that you can do whatever you like in your family. A governor of a state must show evidence of antecedent capacity and capability to bring good governance, to understand policies, to understand programs, to understand the potentials of the environment and the constraints, and to have the intellect to connect globally, locally, and formulating all these contacts and experience into formidable and fundamental policies that are capable of being implemented for the good of the state. So it is such a tea party that anybody can come into the stage and begin to make just mere rhetoric and noise and insults, and then begin to think of you are going to impose yourself on the people. Democracy should be evidential. That is to say, if you are working for the people, let us see the evidence you are working for the people. The governor is working for the people, and as an indigenous citizen of Edo State, I have seen what the governor is doing in Edo State. Nigeria is the number 6 oil producing country in the world. We do not have a functional refinery. Behold, a refinery is coming to Edo State on the initiative and ability and connection and the link and contribution of the governor. And somebody is saying it's not doing anything. That is not true. The evidence is there. But
okay. All right. Dr. Isaiah Osifo, thank you very much. You are the candidate for the Labour Party in Saturday's election, and I'm sure that the viewers are listening to what you are saying. Incidentally, Claire, you recall on Friday we had the incumbent governor as our guest on Good Morning Nigeria. He's for the PDP. 2 days earlier, we had a candidate of the APC, that's Pastor Osagie Yamo. But let's come back to Comrade Lucky Emmanuel Eboy. Comrade Lucky Emmanuel Eboy, the same question I posed to Dr. Isaiah Osifo, without, again, being disrespectful, other than the two major parties, PDP and APC, others are considered outsiders in this race. And if so, why are you still in the race?
Okay, thank you so much. First of all, I want to correct an impression. We don't have major parties, we have major people. We don't have giant political parties, but we have giant political people in the Edo State. Now, it's the people that make political parties. It's not parties that make the political people. It's not parties that make the people. It's people that make the political parties. That's the impression I want to correct. And it's not a good impression at all that people are saying that there are two major parties. No. It's the people that decide. And I will be very happy if that impression is correct, that the ADP has come to stay. That the ADP is as well a strong and a major political party in the state. And that's why they are everywhere. So I believe the electorate in Edo State are ready to vote for the ADP because of their manifesto and because of what they have to offer. Now, let me give you some incidents. They are saying two major political parties. But if you come to the state, you will discover that nothing is happening in the state, and these parties have been in the state for a very long time. Nothing at all is happening. You can't drive in Benin at night. The street lights are not working. The roads are dead trapped. Erosion everywhere. My fellow candidate was saying about capacity. And the electorate in Edo State, the citizen in Edo State, needs a governor that has the capacity to transform Edo State with sincerity. Sincerity is what we need from our politicians. Our politicians have not been sincere enough. It's not just to come and be speaking good speeches, carrying money around and paying for people, giving youth 1,000 naira, 500 naira to come to campaign, but it's how to transform the state, the ability, the capacity to transform the state in the areas of development, in the areas of human capacity, in the areas of infrastructure, education. I can tell you today that I went around from word to word in a major local government where I have strength. I can tell you that if you go to the government school, you will discover that the schools are full of bushes. There's no maintenance cautious. There are some schools there are some government schools, public schools that are hardly board of labs, teachers. Let me tell you, from 2014, it was released that Edo State has 11,000 teachers. Today, I can tell you, it is not far from that figure. Now, we need employment in the state. The youth needs employment and empowerment. And that's why they are ready for the ADP. So the ADP is a strong contender. So the ADP, if anybody is saying the ADP is a minor party, it should come to the state, the person is outside the state. It should come to the state, and I believe citizens will realize that the ADP is the major party and the party that they can vote for. Let's go to the hospital, the health sector. You can discover that Edo State has only one finance health sector. Like I said, the insincerity of our politicians over the years, maybe the two major political parties that the so-called major political parties have been occupying, have kept the state in a quagmire state, in infrastructure in a total disarray and in shambles. Everything is shambles in the state. So this is what we have come to correct. Go to our market. You will discover that if it's raining, you can't go to the market because there is flood everywhere inside the market. These are true. These are true, and we should be truthful to ourselves. And is this market women that pay tax? This market women that people will come and say, come and take tickets. So, and they don't see this development. So we should be truthful to ourselves. We are in the state. Let's work. The electorate are ready. They know what is happening. Just that the Nigerian system is so bad that politicians have turned the people vulnerable and gullible. And that's why they think they can buy votes on election day. Now, one of my experience when campaigning, even when I went to the market to campaign, they will say, ADP, where is the money now? You bring money, you must give money before you campaign to us. But it's not supposed to be so because of what our politicians has done. They've made our people vulnerable and gullible so that they can buy them off and steal greater. This is the truth. So that's why I believe that the ADP has come to stay. And I came out as a narrative. I came out to change the narratives. I came out as a youth to change the narrative, to let the youth know that we can't be sleeping and expecting development. We can't be in our house and allow our fathers who are tired, who are supposed to be retired, making decisions for us. That's why I said human capacity is the best development that can happen to Edo State. And I can tell you, I've visited most of these places. If you come to Edo State, you will cry. You want to cry. In fact, the reason I came out was passion. The passion I have for Edo people. the passion I have for Edo youth, the electorate, the passion I have for them. And that's why their welfare is my concern. And that's why I came up with what I call the transformation agenda. Enough is enough. Let's stop this. Let's stop this. Let's stop this. What? Why? Okay, that's why you can see that people can actually rotate from one party to another in the same form. So it is time for us to stand for our rights, because the ADP has come to bring development, come to build modern markets for our women, come to renovate our schools. Now, the past administration invested in what we call the Red Roof revolution. Now, I want to ask a question. A question I want to ask is, what is the importance of building structures when there is no intellectual structures? Now, I want to ask another question. This same education, the free education, the good education, our politicians, in fact, those in the so-called two major political parties, in fact, that they benefited, the free education they benefited from our leave, the good education, the scholarship they got, is it the same education that are given to this generation now? If they are sincere to themselves, they will know. So the truth is that what has happened over the years is this. Politicians will come with good promises, with so many good intentions, and when they are voted into power, lobbyists will come in. Then their good intentions, their promises will begin to fade away. In fact, they will forget about it, and the people will be left to suffer.
Okay. Comrade Lucky Emmanuel, thank you very much. You've raised a number of points, Claire. I mean, just before you said the question, there are 2 or 3 issues there that were. One, you said that, in your words, if you come to Edo State, you will cry. Happily, we are joining you via Skype from Edo State, and on this program, you are not crying. So we appreciate the fact that at least you are not crying. That's one. Secondly, you also said that when you went to the market to campaign, the market women for whom you say you were going to give a better life were asking for money before you campaigned. You didn't tell us what happened. Did you oblige them or you didn't oblige them? If you didn't give them money, did they then listen to you? That's one, the second point. And the third point, of course, has to do with what, again, I apologize for by saying major and minor parties. But even then, that's a typical classification in elective politics. When you say major or minor, so your party is on the ground. Do you have members in the State House of Assembly? Do you have any councillor or any local government chairman? Do you have members in the National Assembly? And you very well know, of course, that winning elections is the main reason for the existence of political parties. And if parties do not win elections, as we have seen with deregistration, although the matter is still sub judice, of course, on the basis of the 4th alteration to the Constitution, those parties can then be delisted from the list of political parties. But that's just by the way. The point I wanted you to clarify was, did you give money to the market women? If you didn't give money, did they then listen to you? And what did they tell you after listening to you?
Okay, thank you. The truth is that when we came to campaign, they thought it was as usual, like what the 2 major so-called other parties used to do. So when we came, when they saw our passion, they listened to us and said, this is the party we will vote for. Because we told them that this is not money. This is not about money, but this is about development. I can tell you that the average Nigerian have this when it comes to election day, that whatever I want to get in this election, let me just get it now, because I know these people will forget me after they've gone there. That is the average mentality of Nigerians all over the country. So when they saw us, when they saw the passion, and when they saw the candidate himself campaigning in the market, they were like, wow, they can't see other candidates like this. And the passion was everywhere. And it was the market women, they were ready. Like I told you, it's passion. When you see somebody with passion, somebody that has capacity, you know. And they were ready. I believe I've clarified that aspect. So money was not given to them, but we campaigned, and they even joined us to campaign. The mammoth crowd we received that day was something that was overwhelming. So again, for the like I said earlier, that we don't have giant political parties. We have giant individuals. And these giant individuals are the electorate in Edo State that has a weapon of decision. And that weapon of decision is called the voter's card. So, like you said, ADP is a strong party in the country. We have a member in the House of Rep. We have members everywhere. But currently in the state, we have a structure from every polling unit, every ward. We have a ward chairman, we have the local government chairman, we have the state chairman, we have people everywhere. So we have people in the grassroots. So that's what matters. So ADP is a party, it's not a small party. It's a big party. Like I said, it's a giant party because we have people already in government in the House of Rep. You know, if you can check it, it's verifiable. So we also have good people. If you come to the state, we have structures everywhere. And I will tell you that it's because of these structures, credible structures, that I am still in the race, because they've said, go, we are with you. Go, we are with you. Because when I presented my manifesto to them, they said, this is what we want in those states. And I believe the manifesto has come to create solutions to cover loopholes in the state, to take away darkness from the state and to bring a feasible and viable development in the state. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Comrade Lucky Emmanuel Iboy and Dr. Isaiah Osifo. We'll just pause both of you for a while and return to the studio where we'll have Dr. Abdurrahman Hamisu, Abu Hamisu. Doc, now both candidates have reeled out, a web of their intentions, what they believe, is what the people of Edo State want. And I also want to believe that these have been enshrined in their various manifestos. In terms of articulation and delivery to the people, have they done well?
Thank you for that question. You see, the talks are cheap. But what is required after talking is action. And in government and governance, you cannot talk if you don't have source of funding. In most of the talks, nobody tell you, this is how I'm going to improve the revenue base of the state. It's about spending, because that is the mentality. So I'm going to build market. I'm going to build road. I'm going to build hospital. Where are you going to get the funds from? For me, don't tell me what you are going to do. Tell me how you're going to generate the funds, because without funds, you cannot work as a governor.
Even what they intend to do, have they articulated it well in language that people will grasp?
I'm coming to that. So, first of all, you must be able to say, okay, Edo State is generating, say, 2 billion every month. Before articulation, I'm going to increase the revenue base to 4 billion. Then we're sure that you're going to add to what the current person is doing to start with. Because funding is the foundation of governance. You want road, pay for it. You want school, pay for it. You want education, pay for it. If you want health, pay for it. Now you come to the basics. Now, in terms of articulation, you see, this is one thing that we've not been doing. When people talk, as I said, talk is cheap. Anyway, if you go back to the politics of the 50s, you have, for instance, NEPU, which is based in the north, which is giving the northern establishment hell. Mm. And it was a simple campaign. They said we are for the masses, while the NPC is for the ruling class, the elite, the bourgeois. So, can you trust us? If you trust us, we are going to reduce tax, we are going to give you education, we are going to give you health, and those people believe them. Because of what? Because every word you find NEPU meetings going on. If they tell you, we are going to meet every Thursday by 4 p.m., by Thursday 4 p.m., everybody is seated. If you don't come by 4 p.m., there is a fine you are going to pay. There is a consequence. So the political education doesn't even start 2 days to election. It is there right from time. And that was why, at a point, even the NPC was changing candidate overnight. They would just replace a candidate after even winning the primaries or the election. Because it's either they sustain the status quo by rigging the election, or they lose to the masses, who will make them to pay more taxes, which will improve the system. But the parties of today go to sleep, and then at the eve of election, they bring all manners of terms together, and they call it Manifesto, and they go to public places, and they just shout to themselves, and they leave, and they are convinced that the people are going to vote for them. So when we talk about two major parties, we're talking about a party that has been in the saddle before, and they've dispensed governance, patronage, and so on and so forth. And then another party that has come to take over from them. These two parties have their structures, from ward to local government to senatorial to the state. Now, let me shock you. I think around 2011, International Republican Institute sponsored an audit of political parties that claimed to be national. You know, part of the requirement by the Constitution and INEC is that you have a spread across the federation. And some of these parties were selected, and some locations were chosen across the country to verify the claims of these very particular parties. And then you must have your headquarters in Abuja. Majority of them said they have headquarters in Abuja. Now, the first shock we got when that audit was being implemented was that most of the addresses that were given as the addresses of the national party, the national headquarters, of the party, does not exist. Does not exist. Now, when you go to, let's say, an address is given in Lugbe, if you go to the address, it's a residential address. It is the security house that is the national secretariat of the party. But the idea is they have an organized structure called National Secretariat. And that National Secretariat is supposed to be like the PDP Secretariat or the APC Secretariat. And you go to places like Kaduna, you find the offices in shopping malls, in corner shops. Some are business addresses of other persons. Now, even in advanced countries, there are parties that are formed to contest local government elections, and it ends there. There are some that will contest at local government elections, state assembly, state elections, and then federal elections. Now, if you do that categorization, there is these chances that these parties can grow based on their performance. But we're not doing that. Because of our crave for national unity, we now said, okay, every political party must have spread across the federation. But resources are key in terms of buildings, in terms of the structure at the ward, local government, and federal level, and the rest.
Okay, well, Dr. Abu Hamisu, you listened to the responses of the two governorship candidates when I asked why they were still in the race, even though some analysts classify them as, again, without being pejorative, classify them as outsiders. From our national experience, particularly following the judicialization of election outcomes, is it altogether something that we should keep at the back of our minds, that a candidate who's an outsider today may very well just be the candidate, who goes to occupy the government house, considering, as I said, the judicial intervention in our elections?
Of course, we've seen many where, on the account of an error in printing the ballot paper, elections have been nullified to say that a particular party is not on the ballot paper. And don't forget the fact that where you have the ideal, you want to see the ideal playing out, you find people that are in it for the purpose of business. Some people go into this election simply because it is incumbent upon them to field a candidate to continue to remain as a political party. So most of the people that are coming out to say they want to contest the election are not really prepared for it. They are not going there with the mindset to win, because they are not going to win. But they are going there to fulfill a requirement, to ensure that they still remain as a political party. And don't forget the fact that donors are really spending a lot of money to build the capacity of most of these political parties, irrespective of their status. Because to them, all parties are equal and they're supposed to be given the democratic space to participate. So most people register political parties for the purposes of adopting a candidate close to election so that they get something. Some register it as NGO so that donors will support them. Some, out of passion. So the ideal situation is to say that we want to replace the incumbent. But from what Dr. Osifo said when he was talking the other time, I wonder why he's still in the race. Because for me, it seems he's campaigning for the incumbent governor. And if you are campaigning for the incumbent governor, because by his own categorization, he said the class A are those that are there that are doing something positive. Then the class B are those that can possibly replace. So if you believe that the person that is there is performing, why are you in the race? You should as well support the person so that the person will continue to do the good thing. So
he said, should the people decide that? So he will, his class, the class he belongs, which is B, will now fill in the gap.
Who is he campaigning for now? Is he campaigning for himself or is he campaigning for the income? Because if you say, I have not seen somebody that's settled for class B when there is class A. It's something that I have not seen. But again, like what Mr. Iboy, what he said, I think that is how it's supposed to be. Something happened. Two politicians met themselves after the election, and one was, why did you attack me so bad? Because of the election. And you said a lot of lies about me. He said, well, if I don't say so, I see no reason why I should campaign or I should be in the race. Because I'm seeking to replace you. And I should say things that will make people to believe me, so that I will become your natural successor. But if I have said something that praises you, then it means I have no reason to be in the race. So he said, Mr. Christie said something. He said, Mr. Iboy, for the fact that you are not crying, we know that you are saving Edo State. He's campaigning. And he said people want to cry. And then Dr. Osifo said, the governor has done wonderfully well. So you could see the differences. But for me, the most important thing is, do I want to have election? Do I want to participate? What level of participation? Am I sincere with myself? Okay, if I know that I have something to offer, I should be in the race. But as we all know, everything is subject to abuse. And the abuses we are seeing are people that are registering parties to endorse.
Okay, Dr. Abu, we will take a short break. But when we come back, I'd like you to respond to this question. Both governorship candidates talked about intellectual requirements. Dr. Osifo, of course, made an analogy that what is required, the intellectuals are left out of the race. And Comrade Boy also talked about intellectual capacity. So I would want to, from evaluating their contributions, do you think there's a need for a reevaluation of the entry criteria for, certain classes of elections? I would like you to respond to that when we come back from a short break. This is Good Morning Nigeria, and today, of course, our conversation is surrounding the Edo governorship election, which is coming up in a few days from now. Let's go on this break.
A new edition of TV Guide is out, featuring great personalities from all walks of life. Expository interview with a young TV presenter who shows passion on what she does, Morayo Afolabi Brown of TVC. Pick a copy of this compendium of mind-blowing stories and get abreast with issues as regards media convergence, leadership, health, star profiles, star programs, fashion, sports, human angle stories, and lots more. Meet some media professionals within our space who have paid their dues in no small ways. TV Guide, very incisive, very educative and compelling. Grab a copy at the vendor near you or NTA stations nationwide. TV Guide, your indispensable companion.
right, welcome back. You're still watching Good Morning Nigeria, and we have here in our studio Dr. Abdurrahman Abu Hamisu, public affairs analyst, and of course our two governorship candidates joining us from by Skype. Kingsley, you want to take a question or Dr. Abu?
Well, you had a question. You were going to have a question for Abu Hamisu. I'd like to pause Hamisu, if you don't mind, so that we'll return to the two guests. Then, of course, we'll come back to Hamisu again. Dr. Isaiah Osifo, but just 2 points that I want you to tie together and respond. We've heard reports of certain political parties whose campaign posters and billboards had been either damaged or destroyed by the opposing parties, who, of course, tended to create some tension. What has been the experience of the Labour Party? One, have you had the freedom to campaign? Freedom to campaign meaning face-to-face, house-to-house, word-to-word, billboards and posters, and more essentially, access to the media to campaign?
Please, I didn't get the first part of your question concerning billboard and posters.
Presumably, you got the second part. First part of the question, prefaced by the fact that of what we heard, that some parties had complained about the destruction of their campaign materials, namely posters and billboards. And I'm saying that as a Labour Party, have you had the freedom to campaign anywhere in the state? And campaigning, of course, meaning the use of billboards and posters. And allied to that, have you had reasonable, if not equal, access to the media in the state for your campaigns?
Thank you very much. Please, briefly, allow me to digress and go to your answers of your question. The gentleman colleague in the studio, I listened to him and had him saying, if I'm endorsing or I'm campaigning for the incumbent governor, or I'm seeing the race. Where in political science, we have a lot of seminars and discussions on political issues and theories. Maybe he needs to know today, I can see that as a political scientist, that in a civilized democracy, when you have two political parties contesting for the same office or two candidates, the candidate that is civil.
All right.
We've lost the connection.
Yes, that's a freeze there. I don't know, Comrade Lucky Emmanuel, if your access is clear, let's get your own response. You already talked about campaigning amongst market women, so no molestation. That point is noted, but do you have access to the media in the state to apply your campaigns?
Yes. I don't know whether I'm heard. Am I heard? Can you hear me?
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Currently, if you come to the state, you can see we did some posters. We have billboards. We have billboards in area like the market, First Junction, so on and so forth. I'm being distracted. Hello, can you hear me?
Comrade Lucky Emmanuel, we can hear you, but our engineers are telling us that it appears that your TV set is on. Could you then reduce the volume of that, because there's a hallback, and that's why you are having that distraction. If you did that already, just continue with your response.
Okay, thank you. My TV is not on actually. We have big boards, and we are against people that tear political billboards. It's not a very good representation. And again, if I can get the second part of your question right, please, I would like you to rephrase it for me, please.
Okay. Comrade Emmanuel, do you have access to campaign in the media, the political adverts in the media or being given the opportunities such as NTA is providing you now on its network service to discuss your programs, engage other candidates?
Oh, thank you so much. Media it's very expensive, very, very expensive. It's just the NTA that is giving us this platform. And I want to use this medium to reach out to the NTA to appreciate them for this level of democracy, for this good performance to bring out other candidates. You can see that the so-called major political parties, all cameras are on them, keeping the other candidates aside. And that's why the world or other people are having the impression that they are the only two major political parties. But the NTA have choose to disconnect from that psychological tyranny. So definitely, yes, I've been on media. I've paid, because of the campaign, been on media. We've been on several media. I can't call names now, but yes, we are doing our best. We've been in the road, been in the streets, we've been in the market. We've been doing our campaign from word to word. We have been doing our campaign from door to door, at least to sensitize the people on how to vote and who they should vote for and why they should vote for the candidate of the ADP.
Let me ask you, just before we went on break, Dr. Abu here talked about fund, and you have reeled out a lot of things you want to do for the people of Edo State, from renovating education, health, infrastructural development, to addressing issues or challenges of climate change and erosion is a very critical issue in Edo State. So how do you hope to fund some of these items that you have listed?
Thank you so much. Yes, Edo State, let's go into analysis, a very good analysis. Now, Edo State in 2018, we have 19% unemployed people in the state. Like I said, now it has increased from 2018. Sorry, please, can I tell the other candidates to?
Wow, I think we get to come
back. Yeah, technical issues today. I mean, we really apologize to our viewers. But we understand Isaiah Osifo is back. Dr. Isaiah Osifo, if we can see him on the screen, then that means that he's back. Otherwise, we'll come back to our studios here and take the tweets that have come in from our viewers. Law Alpha C, the governorship election in Edo presents an opportunity for the people to make a statement in support of peace and orderliness despite the charged atmosphere.
And Festus Akinboyewa says, although the battle for Edo governorship seat is clearly between two largest political parties, it's refreshing to see small parties with tiny resources trying to put on a good show. Small parties must be allowed to thrive as they are the backbone of any democracy.
Mutana Farouk tweets, INEC, security agencies and other stakeholders should play their role to ensure that the will and wishes of Edo voters are not truncated. Edo people are wise enough to choose who they want, and they must be allowed to do so.
And Adams Shishi says it's high time we made a law that will bar any candidate or party that is found guilty of promoting violence in any election.
Nandom Wuyep, the most fundamental principle defining credible elections is that they must reflect the free expression of the will of the people. To achieve this, elections should be transparent, inclusive, accountable, and there must be equal opportunities to compete.
And Dele Jack Solomon, absence of democratic culture among Nigerian political class and political parties have continued to shape the conduct of elections in the country and in an undemocratic manner. Characterized by thuggery, hooliganism, and lawlessness, Nigerians want to see a change in the Edo election.
Badamasi Haruna Adamu twist. Politicians must not see the game as a means to an end. It should not be seen as a war with bloodshed, embracing political culture as envisaged by Gabriel Almond will save our nascent democracy. But they must not see the game as a means to an end. So the election must be an end in itself? Is that what you're saying?
Right.
Okay.
Chris Simeon, apart from the two supposed mega parties, that is PDP and APC. Now, I'm reluctant to call mega parties because of what our candidates have said. Other political parties normally find it difficult to win the majority seats and votes at the central, state, and local levels. This should begin to change in our elections. Mike
Ayankwo, yes. Mike Ayankwo tweet says we must stop the wrong assumption that the battle is between the PDP and APC. That is one of the reasons we are having wahala in the state. They may have resources more than others, but in politics, surprises do happen. Good luck to all the candidates.
Indeed.
All right, so those are the tweets that we are taking in the meantime, Claire. Yes.
Indeed. Okay.
All right, Dr. Abu Hamisu, we're on the home stretch of this conversation now. You've listened to all of this. Just exactly from your own perspective, is the utility of having a number of candidates for an election. The number of candidates now would appear to be small. We saw in Anambra some years ago, there were at least 37 candidates in the governorship election. 37 candidates. Here we're having 14. 37 candidates, apparently, I mean, as a joke, one representing each state and then the Federal Capital Territory. But here we have 14, and there are 18 local governments in the state. Is that likely to pose any issues for the voters in terms of clearly identifying, who their choice candidate will be in the election?
Yeah, I think that is one of the major battle that affected INEC preparing for the 2019 election. Apart from the fact that the ballot paper was longer, it led to a lot of invalid votes. Because sometimes when the people vote, it's not all of our people that are enlightened, and even how to fold the ballot papers become so challenging. And by the time they fold it, it touches on the logo of another party. Then it then means that two parties have been voted concurrently for the same position. And that invalidates the vote. So that you have, where you have, let's say, 120,000 voting, you have 20,000 invalid votes, which ought not to be so. But because of the long list of the parties that are contesting, then how to fold the ballot paper become something that you need to possess scientific skill. So if you don't fold it in that manner, the ink touches on another party logo, automatically you voted for two candidates in the same election.
And that's a void vote.
And that becomes a void vote. And that is what accounts for the larger number of void votes that we saw in the last election. And I thank God this election is now presenting major challenges of parties having to go to court. Now, by the time INEC thought it is done with the ballot process and it needs to print, suddenly they go to court, and then there is a court judgment that said include the party on the ballot paper. And you have like 3 days to the election. That affects the logistics planning of INEC in terms of how they can print, mobilize, and distribute across the local government. So all of these have a way of impacting negatively the preparation. But on the whole, what we're asking for is, no matter my strength, just give me the space to say hello.
What needs to change for, smaller parties, with respect to the other contending parties, to make a meaningful impact in subsequent elections?
Well, if you ask me, I will go for the categorization of participation. What level do you want to participate as a political party? Is it at the level of local government? Is it at the level of the state? Is it at the level of the federation? So that if we have that categorization, smaller parties can start with one local government, they can easily increase to other local government, and they become dominant and impactful across, say, 5 local government within the state. And from that very particular 5 local government, they can increase to the majority local government, and they can produce the next governor of the state. The same thing, again, if you're talking about the federation. The federation is a composition of all the unit, which is the states. So 1, 2, 3, 4 parties, 30 parties can come together based on their strength to form one political party by way of merger, just the way APC and PDP did, and they can take over the federation.
Yeah, but how workable would that be? Because if you're not talking about concentrating,
Yes.
Let's say in small vote areas,
Yes.
or voting areas,
Yes.
permit me, and therefore you don't spread yourself too thinly. We have to weigh that against the prescription that for you to be registered and to continue to exist as a political party, you must have the so-called national spread.
Yes.
The resources that you will expend, if a party doesn't need to have a large presence throughout the country and it wants to concentrate to win local elections, why should you have branches all over the country? I do know that there is a historical basis for this, what happened, of course, with the First Republic. Yeah. But assuming we say, look, we want parties to actually thrive at the local level, why spread yourself too thinly when those same resources, assuming you deploy in the national spread, could be used to galvanize and mobilize your supporters at the local level?
You see, the truth of the matter is, even what we are giving to these parties that they have national spread, they don't have national spread. There is a clear difference between people that believe in the ideal of the party coming together to form a party and they're ready to commit their resources, then forming a political party, and I will just call it simply because I know you, and say, Kisley, please, I want you to become the coordinator of Lagos State. And then if any event is happening in Lagos State, you go to represent the party, and whatever is happening, you have a say. If it is sharing of money or patronage in whatever form, you are represented. It's quite different. Now, if you spread yourself too wide without the resources, it means you are dissipating your energy, you are not doing anything, you cannot achieve anything. Because running of party is not a tea party that people will come and eat and joke and go away.
Okay, Dr. Mr. Kisley, should we take just one last...
Yeah, assuming the connections to Dr. Azai Osifo. Dr. Azai Osifo, we understand that we have you back. The question I asked earlier is still pending, plus we'll get your closing thoughts.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Dr. Azai Osifo, we saw you on the screen and we could hear you. So you have the opportunity to make your closing remarks now and respond to any of the other issues that you would like to respond to.
Well, thank you very much. I can hear you too. I was going to respond briefly to Dr. Hamisu that if I'm contesting on the platform Labour Party, why am I directly or indirectly campaigning for the governor? The point being made that in developed and advanced democracy, when you have two candidates running for an election, one or both of them must have something good in the other person. In a multi-party democracy, I'm sure the Don in the studio there knows that alliances are not offensive to the aspiration of an individual candidate. In Israel, in Germany, even in the United Kingdom, we've seen candidates of 3-4 parties in the UK running for the office of the Prime Minister, and at the same time having an alliance with any of the other candidates. So we are running for this election. We see things that are good in the incumbent governor. We cannot be blackmailed. We cannot be taken to have endorsed the governor. But we say we are contesting and we see things that are good in the governor, and let the electorate, the people of Edo State, make a choice. If they are going to elect the governor on the basis of what he has done, fine by Labour Party. But if there is going to be an alternative, the Labour Party is saying that we have the capacity. We are the only party that have the capacity to sustain what the governor is doing and improve on what he's doing. And finally, to my good people of Edo State and to Nigerians, before I joined this race, I have known, I'm sure Mr. Sadalon knows that I have been a guest of NTA. I have always been an insistent and a commentator and advocate of democracy, free and fair election.
And that is what I'm still standing for, and what the Labour Party is standing for.
All right, Dr. Isaiah Osifo, governorship candidate for the Labour Party in the upcoming Edo State governorship election. I'd like to thank you very much for coming on Good Morning Nigeria. Let me also appreciate Comrade Lucky Emmanuel Iboy, who is the governorship candidate for the Action Democratic Party, ADC. Thank you. Dr. Abdurrahman Abu Hamisu, who is a public affairs analyst and a political scientist. I'm tempted to always call you Hamisu Rogo. All right. Let's quickly take a look at happenings in the sports world.
Super Eagles midfielder Wilfred Ndidi played centre-back for Leicester City in their 2020-2021 Premier League season opener against West Brom on Sunday. The defensive midfielder making 3 clearances and 3 interceptions as Leicester City won the game 3-0. Meanwhile, another Super Eagles player, Alex Iwobi, was conspicuously missing in Everton's match